Hi everybody, welcome to Movie Talks with Michael, where I, Michael, talk about movies with a special guest. And today, my special guest is Rachel Bloom, who you might be familiar with from her YouTube channel, Rachel Does Stuff, where she does comedy music videos, and she is also a writer on Robot Chicken. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I'm here to discuss a very serious subject.
The most serious of movies.
The most serious of movies ever.
And you've written a song about this movie,
yes.
And you like it to the point, can I say to obsession?
So let me explain. Can we say the title of the movie?
Yes, it's Space Jam.
Space Jam. If I can solve the movie Space Jam, I think I can figure out what dark matter is. Space Jam is the most perplexing and wonderful thing. And I knew it the second I saw it. I saw it when I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And even when I was a kid and I saw it, I was like, this movie is... I don't know even what it is. Like, I don't know. Some parts are amazing. Mm-hmm. Some parts are hilarious. Other parts are terrible.
Yeah.
Other parts are just like some 8-year-old's like acid trip. It's insane. So like, and it's interesting because like, you know, there's this movie Save the Cat, which is what a lot of screenwriters use, right. Which is why a lot of Hollywood movies lately seem formulaic, is because they're using this one book. And in Save the Cat, he talks about how you should never do double mumbo jumbo, which is like when you have one crazy premise, don't add on another crazy premise. And he's like, this is the reason Signs kind of sucks, because you have aliens, but then you also have one man having a crisis of faith. And it's like, okay, but there are aliens, so like faith is kind of a moot point when there are aliens, or your faith would change. Like, we don't care if he goes back to the priesthood. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
so,
there are way larger things in play right now.
There are way larger things in play. I really don't care if Mel Gibson like finds God again. Like, aliens are here. I want to know about that. Space Jam, though, has like premise. It's like hat on a hat on a hat on a hat. It's basically a hat monster. It's just a movie made of different hats. It's a hat store. Space Jam's a hat store. Because first of all, you have the premise that Michael Jordan quits basketball and plays minor league baseball, which happened. Which is true. Which is true, but doesn't seem real. Like, that seems far-fetched to me.
It's crazy. Well, and in the very beginning, just to like, there's him as a kid playing basketball, shooting hoops. The dad comments like, you're really good at basketball, and he's like, but I don't want to play basketball. I want to play baseball just like you, Dad.
Yeah.
Like,
also, well, okay, I'll get to this other point about why I think Space Jam is fascinating, but to go back to the hat on a hat hat. So first you have these quitting baseball. Then you have, in this world, just the base premise that the Looney Tunes exist and are sentient, which, like, is never made clear if this is known. If everyone knows that, like, yeah, there's just Looney Tune Land.
Well, and Looney Tune Land is in the center of the Earth.
It's in the core of the Earth.
It's in the core of the Earth, and then when the kids see Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny wandering around in their house, it's just like, oh, there they are.
Which makes me think that, like, I really would like some sort of beginning of the movie where everyone's just like, today, news from Looney Tune Land. Because when Michael Jordan gets to Looney Tune Land, I mean, it's just a terrible piece of acting by Michael Jordan. He's just like, what's going on, guys? And it's like, your world has just been rocked. You've just found out that the Looney Tunes are real. So, like, either you found out that the Looney Tunes are real, which changes physics, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Or there's this whole other thing in the movie that they haven't talked about. They're like, no, we know the Looney Tunes are real. They just like don't have it show up a lot.
There was a whole prologue that we missed that explained it all. And the studio execs, they were like, do we need this? Nah, people just want to get to the fact that then aliens are also involved.
So then we get to aliens, and not only like, so then they're cartoon aliens, which is a whole other element of like, okay, so.
Cartoon aliens at a theme park.
Oh my God, it's so many hats. So it's like so not only do the Looney Tunes exist, and Michael Jordan has quit basketball, there is, to expand upon the cartoon universe.
Right.
There is a cartoon planet. Now, when they show the universe is cartoon. So now I'm like, are you in a cartoon dimension? Are you saying the whole universe is a cartoon? Or is there another...
Are we the odd man out in the fact that...
Is the rest of the universe a cartoon? Yeah. Oh, man. So we get to this planet, and there's a whole planet centered around an amusement park called Moron Mountain.
Yes.
So then there's an amusement park for aliens called Moron Mountain. of which Danny DeVito is the CEO, and he's like, these kids hate our amusement park, which is a very dangerous amusement park. They show a ride that literally one of the rides is just like
burning them.
Burns you. Like, so it's a dangerous amusement park with immortal aliens going to it, I assume. So that's a whole other world issue. And then he's like, we need to kidnap the Looney Tunes.
And make them slaves.
And make them slaves in our intergalactic cartoon theme park.
Which only then, and I'm skipping ahead later, becomes even worse when it comes down to the final bet, and Michael Jordan is like, no, me. Where he's like, I risk putting myself in shackles for the amusement of, like, it's
unbelievable. And actually, you just reminded me of something where it's like the Looney Tunes, so the Looney Tunes are going to be enslaved there. I'm like, well, in a way that's okay because we have them on video, we have recordings of them. But then, when you see the people watching Looney Tunes on TV, they're like, we gotta have a meeting. Suddenly all the Looney Tunes leave the screen.
Gone.
So you're like, are the Looney Tunes in some sort of like weird vaudeville show where 8 times a day they have to rerun their old episodes like over and over? Like, so that itself is slavery.
It's a slave stage play that is transmitted through the core of the earth.
Yes.
To us for amusement.
It's a slave stage play. They're already enslaved by Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Now
there's that weird bubble that they have to pass through to get into.
Oh my God, I've never actually like got into it this deep. Like, so the people who wrote this, they were just on coke.
Can I take it a step back?
Yeah.
Just, are you aware that in 1993, there was a commercial?
Yeah,
You're aware of the commercial.
This is based on the commercial.
This is based on a commercial that existed. There were actually 2, I believe. One of which was Michael Jordan's Air Jordans have been stolen by Marvin the Martian, and then Bugs and Michael Jordan team up to get back Air Jordans, Nike swoosh, yay, everything's great.
Yeah.
And then there's another one where it's like Bugs and Michael Jordan playing basketball on the court because Bugs was being teased by some like punk teens, and somebody was like, that is the next movie. That's it. And 3 years later, we got Space Jam.
First of all, 3 years is an amazing turnaround time.
It's nuts.
Unbelievable turnaround time. Was that the first hybrid live-action animation movie since Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Or no, was Cool World in the middle there?
I couldn't tell you offhand.
So sidetrack, the other reason I love Space Jam is because when I was a kid, I was an only child, I had a very active imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of imaginary friends, and a lot of my imaginary friends were cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
So that's partially why I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit, is it's a world where cartoons exist.
Right.
And that world is very well thought out and very fleshed out.
And it's holistically sound as to like, this is the border to Toontown. Like, this is a realm
everyone knows about it.
Yeah. Just on, when we're talking Who Framed Roger Rabbit, is Lola Bunny like the offspring of Jessica and Roger Rabbit?
That's actually a really good point that I never connected, but that's probably what they were like. They were like, look, what does Who Framed Roger Rabbit have? You got animation, you got live action, and you got them titties. Like, that's what I feel like that logic was, because Lola Bunny is ridiculously sexy. Like, how many people have jerked off to the idea of Lola Bunny? Like, she's just like, they made this like fappable bunny. So inappropriate.
Yeah.
So inappropriate. She's just like...
And she's just dropped down into this kid's movie.
So also she's like this new character no one's ever met. Like, no one's ever met her, but she's a toon. So where does she come from? Is there like another toon world? Did some horny animator draw her? Where are these Looney Tunes coming from? Can they have sex? Why is she so hot? Sorry, I get really upset. This is why I want to solve it. I want to solve it. So, okay. A few years ago, I found out another element to the movie Space Jam.
Oh.
That has increased my appreciation for it.
Okay.
Tenfold. And it's that Space Jam, really the motive of it, was Michael Jordan propaganda. And I found this out for my fiance, because again, the only reason I know basketball is just because of Space Jam.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michael Jordan quit basketball right around the time his father died. Do you know how his father died?
No.
Okay, now I didn't Wikipedia this before I came here, so this is all like anecdotal, so I apologize if this is wrong, but I believe Michael Jordan's father was murdered mysteriously. He was shot execution style.
Holy hell.
His father was murdered.
Oof.
And the speculation is that he was murdered because Michael Jordan was a big gambler, and he had a ton of gambling debt that he racked up. And they killed Michael Jordan's dad because they were like, this is what happens when you have gambling debt.
Oh my God.
And that the NBA said to Michael Jordan, we can't have, you need to lay low. You need to lay low for like a couple years. And that's why he quit the NBA, was because the NBA was like, oh my God, like your dad died because of you. You need to leave.
Jesus.
And then finally they were like, okay, come back to the Bulls. Now, the whole arc of Space Jam is this saccharine idea that he leaves the NBA in tribute to his dad, and that it's the Looney Tunes that give him the inspiration to come back and play for the Bulls. But actually, in real life, again, this is very speculative, it was the NBA making him leave and him coming back after they were like, okay, enough time has passed. So it's propaganda.
To make us all hyped on the idea of like it's the big comeback for...
To see Michael Jordan as a hero when really he is a sociopath who needs to win at every single thing he does.
That's nuts.
Again, this is how it's followed. And this is what my fiance was telling me about this whole thing, where like this is speculation. I was like, oh my God, Space Jam is propaganda then. This is Big Brother.
I mean, on many levels, Space Jam is definitely like, even outside of like the possibility of like, let's bring him back. I mean, it's clearly putting together two things that
it's so like, many franchises.
Yeah, everything's there.
It's a conspiracy to sell so many things. It's the worst of our consumer culture, but the best of our consumer culture, and it's the alpha and omega, and now I'm just getting into like dark matter again. But like,
you'll solve it.
Yeah.
The thing that actually shocked me when it came out, because I mean, I don't know how successful, because we were kids at the time, but like how successful it really did.
It was really successful.
But it was like, it was big, especially with kids, and you'd think that would, I mean, now there's talk of there being a Space Jam 2 with
LeBron,
LeBron
right?
James, but I'm shocked that there wasn't a Space Jam 2 like in the year 2000 or 1999 that didn't necessarily focus on basketball, but was like, hey, what other like huge sports star can we get? If they got footballer David Beckham as their dude, at that point he's with Posh Spice. The Spice Girls are still hot.
Oh wow!
Can you imagine?
Oh my God!
The Looney Tunes and the Spice Girls and football, like on a global scale, like America's not huge on it, but like the rest of, like internationally, people would lose their minds.
I mean, I don't think the world was ready for that. So I'm glad that didn't happen. God, I wish I could do the research right now, because I remember hearing like they were gonna make a sequel with a bunch of sports. It fell through. Space Jam originally was supposed to be a musical. And there is somewhere a lost recording of, I think it was Tony Braxton wrote like 8 songs for this movie. I think Space Jam was really supposed to be a musical, is what I've heard.
Oh my gosh.
And I think it was like Tony Braxton wrote all these songs.
That would have been another hat.
That would have been...
Like the biggest hat of all.
That would have been the biggest hat of all.
Oh my gosh. The lunacy of it. The absolute lunacy.
I just like can't even. And then you have Bill Murray.
Oh, right.
And then you have the Bill Murray factor where they were like, Bill Murray, we want you in this movie, and he was just like, can I make up whatever I say? And they were like, sure.
Yeah.
Because the only funny lines in the movie are Bill Murray's lines.
And he just, at the end, he just shows up and writes it off as just a contractual super meta joke.
Oh yeah, they go, how did you get here? And he was like, oh, we have the same agent. And so it's like, you've broken the very thin fabric of this movie. I can't. I don't know. It makes me happy and upset. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Well, what I'll say is the end, the movie gets better because once you get past all of the hat on a hat on a hat on a hat stuff, and you play out the repercussions of the movie, like the tiny aliens stealing the talent of the players in the NBA,
right,
is a cool idea. Is a really cool idea, and it's like, you know, the best you can do with this idea, like the best you can do with all these 6,000 premises, and then the idea that Michael Jordan can only beat these monsters by himself becoming a Looney Tune, because if you'll recall, the end of the movie is him stretching his arm out super, like that's actually like story-wise, that's a pretty good, like, it's good, that's fairly good writing. Like it's really the first part of the movie with all of the setup.
The setup
is
that
so
is
problematic.
Yeah.
But they play it out fairly well.
Once they've gotten the motor going, we're just cruising at that point, and it just takes a while for us to load up everything into the car and really get on the road.
Although having said that, the end of the movie is a cartoon spaceship crashing onto a minor league baseball field.
That's right.
And everyone, instead of freaking out that aliens exist, goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jordan."
And then we get R. Kelly again, correct?
And then we get R. Kelly again.
With I Believe I Can
So
Fly.
it's like everyone's just freaking out about where Michael Jordan is, and no one's like, aliens exist now.
So,
I mean,
again, in that universe, we know that Looney Tunes exist and aliens.
I don't know what we know in this universe.
Do we really know what we know?
You know what? That's actually what I'd say. Is I think Space Jam it's a movie for agnostics, because it's like, do we know anything? It's almost like an absurdist, like, Ionesco piece, where it's like, you know, if you've read like Rhinoceros, where it's like, oh look, a rhinoceros, oh, a rhinoceros, and like no one's like really reacting to the rhinoceros in the way that you actually would.
Right.
Like everyone's reacting to the Looney Tunes like, oh look, the Looney Tunes are here. Yes, that seems very appropriate. I haven't read Ionesco in a long time. But my point is, you could do Space Jam as a great absurdist play, because no one is acting the way that people should act. Everyone is acting in these absurd ways that human beings shouldn't act when they are interacting with such fantastical premises. So I think there's an absurdist play out there, and I'm not going to write it because I'm lazy and I'm busy. But if you want to write that absurdist play, I will gladly cut you a check for $10 to put it up somewhere, to pay for the curtains. I don't know.
I would also cut a check of at least $10 for such
I will
a thing.
cut. Actually, if someone out there wants to write an absurdist play of the movie Space Jam, I am down to write that with you. I need someone to kick my ass to write it, but I'm down to write that with you, and we'll put it up, and it'll be great. I don't know how we'll get the rights. I think Warner Brothers is probably very protective, but
it can possibly happen.
It can possibly happen. What if I'm just committing myself to a 10-year project of...
So you can reach Rachel at Rachel Does Stuff on Twitter or on her website, racheldoesstuff.com. Thank you so much for coming on to discuss Space Jam.
Thank you. And if you have any thoughts on Space Jam, just tweet at me. I'd love to continue this conversation.
Please. And send them to Rachel and leave them in the comments down below. There's also going to be links now linking to some of the fantastic music videos that Rachel has done. If you want to see more from me, there are more movie talks up top. And we will see you guys later. Keep loving movies.